Hi, everyone. This is Deanne Carter. Let's talk about goal setting. It's about that time of year. Do you still have your list from 2018? Did it keep getting shuffled month to month, maybe rewritten? Well, you're not alone. We don't necessarily need to change the fruit. What we need to do is change the root. What does that mean? It means finding your why bother, the fuel in the fire, like what keeps you going throughout the year to get those tasks accomplished. And really finding those tasks that align with what you want out of life. If I prep food on Fridays, then I will have more family time during the week. If I, instead of coffee dates, go on walks, then I'll feel healthier. So instead of just saying, I need to lose weight, it really will help us follow through on those specifics if we can align it with things that really matter to us. So how do we find that? We look back at 2018. So I want you to consider, what did you accomplish? What was anything that you really felt engaged in? And it may not be what you think. It may not be, we re-landscaped the yard or we improved sales. I want you to think about something you engaged your whole self in. So, for example, in order to find our strengths, look back and maybe you organized your family reunion. And it took a lot of analyzing or looking at a complex issue and organizing it and breaking it down into manageable steps. Maybe you're great at negotiating. So perhaps you found a local farm or a place where you could host this and you thought outside the box. Maybe you're also very creative, and that's one of your traits. And you organized a trade where you could do this event on a budget, right? So maybe something that you have a lot of skill and knowledge about is being creative financially. Maybe you're great at procedures in your workplace, but then you transferred that to what procedures were you going to follow to get this large group of people all in the same place. Maybe you have a lot of knowledge about natural foods and health, and so you incorporated that into the reunion. Okay, so looking at what your skills are, like analyze, organize, negotiate, and then what knowledge you have, procedures, budgeting, and natural foods, something that maybe even just a hobby. And then what traits do you have? So maybe you're very kind or charismatic. And so notice that gives the flair, the flavor of which you applied those strategies. Those are all your strengths. And we know that when we engage 3 or more of our strengths, that we're more likely to stay with it and follow things through. So then on top of that, there might be some other conditions too. Like maybe on the days that you got that walk-in in the morning, that you were more likely to follow through on some of the tasks. Or maybe it was only when you had quiet time that you could get those tasks done. Maybe you like to do them all at once in a couple of hours, instead of some people like to do things, make one phone call or get a couple ornaments up on the tree, or organize a room as you go instead of all at once. So just looking at what your personal style is. And then as we make the task list for next year, it's more specific to things that can really help you stay engaged. So that's a personal example. What could that have to do with career? So let's look into 2019 and what that might look like in a career example. So we want to look at, like, what is your mission statement? What do you want to accomplish, and how are you going to do it? So maybe you want to become, or you are, a financial planner, and you want to help people go from an ordinary life to an extraordinary life. And then we want to break it down into some strategies. So what would you need to do? So maybe you want to increase your customer base or get one. And so that's a strategy, and increase customer base. But how will you do that are your action items. So can you picture, like, you may have your mission statement, and then underneath that, what's my specific goal for this year? And then maybe one column is there's going to be a strategy and some action items underneath it, and another strategy and some action items under it. So maybe in this improving your customer base, a strategy is to use your knowledge of natural foods and budgeting to put on a webinar or a presentation at the farmers market. And, maybe if you're an introvert, you do it as a webinar. And if you're an extrovert, you do it at the farmer's market, or you do walk and talks at the park. And then people get to know you and sense you beyond maybe just reading about you. So with that action item, you would want to give a timeline to it. So maybe it's that I do, monthly presentations, or I do a monthly mailing, and it's something of value. So it's using something. Here's where using your strengths is going to get this done. It's using something that you're already behind. You already have fuel for. So you have a passion for budgeting and for natural foods, and so you're making that your presentation. Or healthy eating on shoestring budget, or back to the family reunion, how to do a family vacation without breaking the bank. So using things that you already have experience in to bring your flair, your traits. And if you want to know more about this, there's some easy online tests of your career competencies, or your career values, or the Myers-Briggs, or DISC profile, things that can help you get to know what those are about you. But you can also do it with the reflection we talked about. And maybe another way of improving your customer base is to do some of those assessments. So myself or my whole staff will complete these assessments by the end of January, and then we'll meet by mid-February, and we'll discuss what did we learn about the different personality styles and what their values and needs are, and how that would affect our marketing approach, or the information we bring to them, or the order we bring things in, or how we communicate in a way that best suits their needs, so that we can be of value. Okay, so there's a very quick overview of how to get some more fuel in the fire to get those tasks done for next year. So here's wishing you a very fruitful and adventurous 2019. Take care, everybody.